Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my regal doll. Oh, hey guys. Austin Ruthven Nitsua here, and I am here to promote a role-playing story that I am in. The role-playing story is called Super Mario Numbers. This is an RPG, or kind of a role-playing story, if you will, where pretty much it's about Mario and Luigi and a few other video game characters from many other worlds, and some original characters, who work together to solve the world's problems and keep a peaceful balance in each world. Basically, we're already on the third season. The first season was just a regular story where anyone could sign on, and it just started off as a regular RPG on another fan forums called the JRPictures fan forums. And the second one was still on the JRPictures fan forums, but instead it had more of a following in a way where I can swear that it can actually turn into an independent story of its own. So basically for Season 3, we want to actually create an audience. So Season 3, this is the point where we officially made a forum of Super Mario Numbers on its own. Now, for those of you who are confused on what the heck numbers means, I'll show you. If you're familiar with this show, Numbers, it's a CBS crime television show, so the same people who did like CSI, NCIS, and all that. Numbers only lasted for like 6 seasons, and it's pretty much a show where the oldest brother, Don Epps, is an FBI agent who solves crimes in Los Angeles, where he has a younger brother named Charlie Epps who helps his older brother solve crimes by the use of mathematics, saying that mathematics can actually solve like nature's problems and such, because usually when it comes to behavior, usually that's when nature takes place into what we actually get involved in. So mathematics is what is used to solve nature problems, because science is used to solve science. Math is used to solve like nature's problems, whereas religion and faith and all that is a whole other third element. And with this kind of story, Super Mario Numbers, these three elements, the unknown, nature, and science, it's all balanced in this one story. And basically it's just saying you can't really live without all three and such. I mean, they're all a part of how we live and a part of a balance of life, basically. So is the role-playing story pretty much nothing more than just a crime television show? Well, not really. I mean, we have like original characters and such. Like, we have Epps, who is like one of the FBI characters, along with 3 other FBI characters, including Susan Ivory, Jared Lathagy, Dylan Ballard. And then we have Otacon, who is from the Metal Gear Solid games, who actually is like their mathematician and such. And he actually helps them with like FBI crimes in Sacramento. And then of course in like out in like Canada, Vancouver, which is around where I live, this is where I portray the character Alex, who you see right here in the poster. And Alex is pretty much a character who is a prophet, who is supposed to lead like the post-war of the Bloodless War, which is pretty much what happened in Season 1. And then you have like this character named John, who you see right here, who protects all worlds by protecting all the portals and such that lead to different worlds and such. And in a sense, you're probably wondering, how can these video game worlds coexist within our world when we actually have video games about Mario and Luigi and the galaxy, or taking a trip to Al Delfino and such? I mean, how can they actually exist as a video game, and how can they actually exist in, like, you know, the one world? Do we, like, break the fourth wall or something? Well, if it's one thing I can be certain of, is that when you do a serious parody, you can't break the fourth wall. So therefore, we came up with a solution on how video games can actually exist in our world, and how their reality can actually exist, not because we just believe in them, but because they actually exist. And basically the idea is that the presidents of Nintendo, including Shigeru Miyamoto, are prophets of the Nintendo world. So basically most of the Nintendo worlds that they actually create and such, without even knowing about it, is actually real. It's almost like how the Holy Bible was created, or the Book of Mormon was created by Joseph Smith. I mean, whether or not if these are all true like scriptures or not, that's a whole other argument, which I'm not going to debate about. But basically, it's like the games are kind of like the Holy Bible in a way, where it gets more wrongs than it does right. I mean, do you actually believe that Mario has to get 100 coins to get like 1 star? Probably not. But the idea is that their lives are actually told in the form of a video game. So the tale of Hyrule is a real world that is told in the form of a video game and such. I mean, the video game form is like a whole other form, almost like how, you know, people in the old days would tell it in the book with, like, you know, the Book of Mormon or the Bible or whatever, and, you know, so on and so forth, whatever it's written in and such. So that's basically the idea of how other video game worlds can exist when we have like video games of them in our world. And in order to go into other worlds, there are these portals that actually lead to other worlds, but they're guarded by the central universe, which is guarded by John, who, as you see in the middle of the poster there, who is supposed to be the guardian of all these universes and such. Now, the basic premise of it, Season 1, it's pretty much the characters have to, like, include Mario and Luigi, who are the main characters of the story, have to save the world from a tribe known as the Bloodless, who are totally a corrupted society that have no blood running through their veins, so they don't really see shades of gray. They only see black and white. And therefore, because they see more black, they cause corruption to our society and such, and therefore the characters have to try to stop them by trying to find their main hideout at Castle Death, which is pretty much what all Season 1 is about, is pretty much stopping this tribe known as the Bloodless. And the second season revolves around the post-Bloodless War, and basically in the post-Bloodless War, the main antagonist from the first season, or at least one of the main antagonists, turns out to still be alive. So Season 2 revolves around where the main characters have to stop this guy named Dr. Pipazoid, who is pretty much an antagonist that had a strong connection with the Bloodless and such, and he plans to do corruption and such, and he has a dark past which is explained in the story and such. And pretty much, the story just revolves around the fact of whether or not if they should actually stop him by killing him, or whether or not if that's unjustified. You know, should they actually kill this one person that will cause Armageddon to not just one world, but all worlds. So the story just revolves around that. But as the story progresses, we start to see, you know, more third dimensions to the Dr. Pipazoid character. And then also, during the Season 2, we start, you know, having more plots added to it. Like, I'll give you the basic idea of, like, some of the characters that are in it. So, in poster 1 right here, we have Mario and Luigi, who are the main characters. In this poster, we have Sonic and Shadow, who, in a way, are kind of like the second main characters in this. I don't know. It's like Sonic and Shadow, especially Sonic, is kind of like the second main character if Mario and Luigi aren't in the story. I mean, they're probably the most shown, especially Sonic, in terms of this RPG. So for those of you who are Sonic fans, then you will not be disappointed and such with what this has to show. And then you have Ash Ketchum, Pikachu, and pretty much all of his Pokemon friends and such. Which is interesting, because the idea of this role-playing story is to actually talk about characters from either original characters or video game world characters. And basically, one main rule is to basically not talk about movie characters, which means there's no Harry Potter in it or anything, or Lord of the Rings characters and whatever. So basically, the whole idea is that, like, it's pretty much just video game worlds and original characters. So why is it that the characters from the anime are in it? Well, that's because we identify more with the anime characters from the Pokemon world than we do with, you know, just like one Pokemon trainer and a few, you know, characters that you meet on the road in the video games and such. Therefore, that's probably like the only exception in terms of movie characters is pretty much the Pokemon characters. So you have Ash, Brock, Iris, Silan. I never seen the show, so I don't really remember the names. Gary, and all that, all those great characters and such. And actually, there is actually a second exception to movie characters, and that's the Kingdom Hearts characters. Pretty much, we can actually show the characters that do come from, like, the Disney world if they are in the Kingdom Hearts game. So, we actually do have one chapter where we show Winnie the Pooh, and I actually really like that movie. And, yeah, it's pretty much the idea of just these video game worlds that are actually real, and it's because the main creators are prophets in our world without even knowing about it, and that's how they coexist. So, pretty much the first season is the whole thing with the Bloodless War. The second season is the post-war and such. And during the second season, Luigi is saved by a near-death experience by an angel, and basically these angels are supposed to be like the good guys from our world, and they're from heaven that are trying to stop Dr. Pipazoid, but they want to kill him in order to do it. But then they realize that there's actually a second plan behind the angels that will suddenly make them the antagonists of this series. So, yeah, so we're currently on the third season. So in the third season, we have Mario and Luigi, who pretty much continue on doing whatever it is they do, protect the Mushroom Kingdom or other worlds and all that stuff. And you pretty much have Alex, who is the character that I portray, who pretty much is in exile because he's the prophet who is meant to bring Armageddon. And then you have John and Haley, who are two-side characters who protect who protect all universes and such. Like, protect the whole universes and other worlds. And the interesting fact is that each world is created by a different god. Like, our world is created by our own god, and it has our own angels, our own hell, and Satan, blah, 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 blah. But you have other worlds where it's created by other gods, and some worlds actually get created by multiple gods. Say, like, Forodin and Naru and Harulia, or Helia, whatever her name was, from the Hyrule world. Yeah, so I think I rambled on and on about this promotion, and I think I went on longer than I intended to. So, this role-playing story, it's not something that you can get in, unfortunately, but it's a forum that you can sign up on. We have, like, different forums you can chat on, like the general chat forums, where you can talk about random things or updates on what's going on in your life. An arcade where you can just play video games and beat for high scores and such, and that can actually be pretty fun. And then we have something called the Knowledge and Understanding Forum, which is pretty much where we talk about science, mathematics, social studies, certain point of views of religion and mythology to have an understanding and knowledge of the world around us. Because, as I said before, the three elements of the unknown, math, and science are all needed to actually have a perfect balance, because I believe all three of them exist. And then we have the category, the creative category, where it's pretty much where you can actually post anything that revolves around art, video games, movies, and fashions, and culinary foods, and so forth, where you can pretty much post your own creativity, or pretty much post anything that you're inspired by, and yeah, hopefully the creativity session actually gets a big crowd and such. But the main focus on the RPG is the main story, which sadly you cannot join, but you can actually read. It'll be written by 5 main writers. So the 5 main writers are Nitsua, who is me, JRPictures, 49 Falcons, Tim Lemmens, and Robin1234. These are the 5 main writers that'll be writing the RPG. So if you're interested in checking out this role-playing story, Super Mario Numbers, then go check it out. And I know it will take a long time to read, like, seasons 1 and 2 all over again. We do have recaps if you want, like, you know, the short idea of what each story was about without reading the whole thing. I mean, you can read the whole thing if you want, but if you don't want to read the whole thing, we do have recaps of the first and second season that you can read, which pretty much sums up the entire story pretty short if you don't like reading a lot. So, yeah, Season 3 is going to be starting pretty soon, so you can sign on. It's very easy to sign on, and it's pretty easy to understand how the forums work and all that. And in terms of, like, the third story and such, like, If you're interested in signing on, then yeah, we definitely want an audience. So go ahead, sign on. But if you're not interested in such, but if you know someone else who is, then maybe you can share this video to them, and maybe they might be interested, because we want to try to gain an audience out of this. So thank you guys for watching. I think I rambled on about this long enough. So thank you for watching. Check out the forum yourself. The link will be down in the description down below. And sign on and join us with Super Mario Numbers, the Season 3. Goodbye.